Everything I've talked about up to now, I tried to pick one, maybe two things. And then I got to eyes. And guys, I couldn't do it. Happy day before Christmas, or 2 days before Hanukkah, I believe, to everybody out there. Today is going to be my best of 2024. I will have a video in January where I talk about the best of holiday collections, but that'll be after the end of the year. So I always do a best of video at the end of the year to let you know which of my favorites. I will have something where I talk about some of my not so favorites as well. And I'll also have a video where I talk about last year's favorites, 2023, to see if they are still favorites. So what I thought I would do today is go through my favorite products, explain to you why they're my favorites. Some things I think are going to be fairly obvious and other things might surprise you. I am not going to go through every single product I thought was excellent. I really tried to narrow this down to the products that I would give as gifts to people, things that I would want as gifts. So I tried to keep it the top, and I still ended up with a lot of products. First, we'll just start from the base and work up. So primers. The primer that is the best of the best is the Chanel Le Beiges. This is the Healthy Winter Glow Primer, and I have this in Frosty White. You can see me putting it on. It is just like the best primer ever for me. I absolutely love this product. I got it in all 3 shades that it came out with. It was limited edition. I'm giving one away in my 10,000 subscriber giveaway. It has a year shelf life, so it's supposedly coming to the end of its year shelf life. I'm going to keep using it because it's my favorite product. I did buy a backup of it, and I just think it's phenomenal. It gives you some hydration, a glowy finish, but luminous, not, shimmery or shiny. It's just perfect, and I don't know why Chanel made it a limited edition product. Chanel always does this to me. They make limited edition products and they get rid of them, and they're my favorite thing. So if you can get your hands on these, or you got your hands on these when I talked about them, absolutely phenomenal product. They are 1 fluid ounce. They last a long time. You don't need a lot on your face, but I have to say, literally one of the best things Chanel has come up with in years. 2 is the Dior Stick Foundation. I have this in 0N? I'm like, where is it? 0N. I have this in 0N, and I put it on, you'll see, like this, the highlights of my face. I can use this all over my face. It's a tiny bit light. It does actually match the skin on my neck, but it does look a little light on me. I'm probably like a 0.5. But if I put it just here, it really brightens up my look. On top of the primer, it's just like even more healthy, even more glowy. So it's an excellent foundation. It's a very luminous, glowy foundation. I've mentioned a couple of times, I don't think people who don't like a luminous finish will like it. It has skin ingredients in it. It's moisturizing and nourishing. So if you're somebody who has an aversion to anything that looks luminous as a foundation finish, you're not going to like it. But everybody else is going to love it. It's a really good foundation. It goes on smoothly. It's easy to use. I put it right on the skin and just pounced it in. So I went the easy route today, and it's absolutely phenomenal. What I have on the rest of my face is the Lisa Eldridge. This is the Skin Enhancing Tint. This is my favorite product, maybe ever. I don't know. I use this all the time, and you can see by the photo, it's well loved. It's not dirty. It's been it's been used so often. It's got stains on it at this point, but it's just one of the best products ever created. It smooths out your skin. It gives you an even look, but it doesn't look like makeup. I feel like a little brush hair. It doesn't look like makeup. It looks like your skin, but just better, enhanced. It's not luminous, but it's not matte. It's skin-like with a little bit of healthy glow. I don't know how Lisa Eldridge did it. It's a phenomenal product, absolutely phenomenal. And she came out with a couple of extra shades later in the year. It's honestly the best thing. Like, I will rave about this to anyone who will listen. If you like a full coverage makeup, like foundation, yeah, you're not gonna love it. But honestly, my skin goes from like, you know, I've done videos where I talked about my favorite foundations, and you can see side by side. It makes such a difference in your skin. Like, it looks so much better. It's absolutely phenomenal, but it feels like nothing. Love it, love it, love it. The contour stick that I have on today is also the Dior. This is in 01 Light, and it is easy to use as the foundation stick. Put it here, put it here, put it on my nose. It's seamless. It's incredibly smooth, silky, moisturizing. It sets right in. You have no problems blending it out. The light is perfect for me as a contour. 02 works as a bronzing. I love the product. The second one I would recommend is the Makeup by Mario one. It's like a pump, and it can also be a wand. That is an amazing product, and I love it. And I was really tempted to put it in the video today, but then I was like, no, Jennifer, you're just picking like the best of the best. And I have a bronzer as well, so I was kind of like, ugh. But it's really good, and it's not as pigmented as the Dior. The Dior, I feel like, would work on anyone, even if you like need a deeper pigment. The Makeup by Mario, to me, does seem light, and I love it because I don't really want much of a contour look. I want more of that, you know, just like a little bit. So the Makeup by Mario is what I use on a regular day. But the Dior is very pigmented, and honestly, the deeper shades I think will work, you know, I think it'll work for quite a few people. Maybe not everyone, but quite a few people. And I think it's a safer bet for most. Bronzer is the Yves Saint Laurent bronzer. This is in 02, I believe. Yes, 02. The Yves Saint Laurent bronzer is excellent. Saint Laurent has, I should call them Saint Laurent. Saint Laurent has made some excellent products this year. I've been very impressed with their eyeshadows, their eyeliners. I'm really looking forward to the liquid blushes they're coming out with. They've been hitting it out of the park. I know they've had difficulties with their bags and ready-to-wear segments. You know, I like their bags. I don't actually own a Saint Laurent bag. I've wanted to get one for years, and I just never, you know, can't just buy everything. I would love to own one of their bags, and at some point I will get one. So, you know, I know there's some difficulty there, and they've rolled back some prices, which some people interpret as them not being as well made. I think they're as well made as any other designer brand at this point, with the exception of Hermes and Bottega. Those are, at least in my opinion, exceptionally well made. But, you know, I'm a fan of the brand, and I'm looking forward to what they come out with in 2025 and beyond. The bronzer is really excellent. I do think the shades are a little light, but if they have a shade for you, you should try them out because they go on smoothly. They look phenomenally good. Blush. The blush that I picked is the Chanel Cream to Powder blush, and I have to say, this is a really good blush. This is Rose Radiant, and this one is relatively, I would say neutral, but it's gonna work on a lot of people. I use it very, very lightly with a fluffy brush. If you use your fingers, because it is a cream to powder, you can build this up pretty quickly. And what I would say is it really does look beautiful on the skin. The formula of these blushes are just really phenomenal. There's a high price point, no doubt, but I think in this case, you get what you pay for. The reformulated Chanel blushes I'm trying out, but I wouldn't say they go into my best category, so let's just leave that there. But yeah, the cream to powder blushes that they came out with, I bought all the shades. I think they're really good. Not as good as the original blushes that they had, but I do think they're very, very good. The powder that I have on my face. I have two powders on my face. First, this is the Guerlain, and you'll see by the close-up picture that I have used this like quite a bit because it's a disastrous mess. But being truthful, but I used it under the eyes today, and the reason I only used it there is because the powder I'm going to show you in a second. This is an extremely good powder, and I can say I think it's something that could replace the Givenchy powder if you're looking for just the transparent kind of powder. The thing about the Givenchy is the Givenchy had the multiple colors, the Prisme Libre. So, you know, you've got a little bit of peach and a little bit of pink, and this is not going to do that for you. This is going to be either a transparent or 1, 2, or 3, I think it is. But in the terms of the formula of the powder, it's extremely good. It has a little bit of luminosity, but not a lot. It doesn't cake. It goes on super smooth. It's very, very beautiful. And I think it blends great. I think it works under the eyes, which is always, you know, a tricky place to do it. It's so finely milled. I mean, honestly, it's called the Diamond Micro Powder. I think that's a good description. And I think it's one of the few powders that I would recommend. I'm not a huge powder person because my skin is dry. So yeah, I think it's a good choice for a replacement for the Givenchy. But again, the Prisme Libre was unique in the color combination, you know, the 4 quadrants. So that's where I'm hesitant to say, yes, it's a 1-for-1. That's the problem. We'll see if, you know, Givenchy or others come up with that type of combination. I haven't seen it yet, but that's what I got for you in regards to that. I would definitely buy the Whirl On again, but that powder is going to last me forever because I just use so little powder. I'm literally going to have it for the rest of my life. The powder that I used all over my face was the Prada powder. And I talked about this in a couple of different videos. It does have a little bit of a green cast because it is green. And for somebody who suffers from rosacea or redness in their skin, I think it works beautifully. I think it works perfectly. I used a very fluffy brush to put it all over my face, and you don't see any of the green. However, if you press it in to certain areas of your skin, it can have a little bit of a green cast. Now, if you have real redness in your skin, it will negate that redness and be fine. But if you don't, it will show more green. And if you don't blend it well, it will show more green. So that's something to be aware of. But for me, it's great because I always have redness in my skin. And when I use just a fluffy brush to put it on, it just neutralizes like the pinkness of my skin. So I absolutely love the powder. I think it's phenomenal. Prada, again, is another brand that I think has knocked it out of the park in the last 2 years. I love their foundation. I'm very excited about the cushion foundation they're going to come out with. And I think the Prada powder is extremely smooth, very silky. It's a phenomenally good powder. It gives you that smoothing, blurring effect, and the green cancels out the redness. So for me, it's great. I'm looking forward to trying some lavender powders that are coming out, and blue, I believe. Not from Prada, but coming out next year. Okay, lips. On my lips, I have, of course, the Tom Ford liner. There is nothing that came out in liners that comes even close to this. Sorry, but just there isn't. These are the best liners. I love them. They're the best liners I've ever used. Now, here's the thing about liners, and I've said this, I think I'll have to do this in the mature video line that I'm doing the series. If you have a lot of lines or very oily lips and you always have bleeding, really the best way to go is with an old style wood pencil. Because those pencils are drier. Now there's some they've gotten better, they're creamier, but they are gonna stay. They're not gonna bleed, no matter what. If you have something that is a creamier formula, there's a possibility that it could, these do not bleed on me at all, in any way. And I have not used them on anyone else that they've bled on, but because they are creamier, there's the possibility for it. The old wood, basically, where they put the crayon inside the wood and basically you're sharpening it, those are dry, like the old MAC pencils. They're not gonna bleed. And if those bleed, then I have some other tricks like you can do with powder and stuff, but still, like that's you're at your limit of science at this point. But the nature of the product is always going to be the thing that you want to look at. And in that line, my favorite lip products tend to be glossy. They're not matte lipsticks because I don't really have a problem with bleeding. My lips are so dry. like they crack. So literally in the winter, they're always dry. Like I exfoliate, I moisturize, doesn't matter. So any moisture is sucked into my lips. It does not bleed outward. Not in the winter anyway. Literally all just right in there. So the lip liner, again, perfect. The two Tom Ford lipsticks, the new lipsticks, the reformulated lipsticks that came out. The Slimline lipsticks, which I have on today. This is Open Back, I think. It's a neutral shade. Love the shade. Used it a lot. I've probably used up more than half this lipstick because there's nothing in here. But it's a phenomenally good lipstick. The full size lipsticks that came out, this is West Coast. This is my favorite shade. And these are beautiful lipsticks in my opinion. They're glossy, they're moisturizing. I think they look absolutely phenomenal on the lips. But again, these could bleed, definitely, because they are a shiny lipstick. If you want something that doesn't bleed, the one that I would say that came out this year that I really liked, there are two different ones. The first one is, this is the Dior Sequin Lip. This is the limited edition version, but there's the liquid lip version, which is basically the same thing, it's just you don't get sequins in it. And this came out for holiday from Dior. This stays on your lips. This will stay. It is a little drying after a while. For someone like me, it's not what I'm going to reach for because I need the moisture. But if you don't have dry lips, the Dior liquid lip is extremely good. And the sequin ones, they're really fun. They look beautiful. You know, you first get that sort of matte-ish, soft matte look, and then you press your lips together and you get sequins. I mean, that's cool. So I think that's a really good choice and the only one that I would recommend this year in regards to a liquid lip. And then a soft matte lip, a soft lip blush type of lip is the Lisa Eldridge. I really love her formula and I really love, in my opinion, the design is stunning. I love this. It is very retro. I do think it's, you know, the Art Deco almost kind of design, but I love these lipsticks and I think they're beautiful. I have a bunch of shades. I will buy more and they have a very, to me, lip blush, soft matte kind of feel. These are much less likely to bleed on you. And I think Lisa Eldridge does a fantastic job with her lipsticks in understanding what the trend is going to be. Like she's ahead of her time. And I think this lip blush, soft matte kind of look is going to be very popular going forward. So if you're looking for something that is a liquid lip, I'd go with the Dior. If you're looking for something that's more of like a soft, it's almost like a blurred lip, I would go with the Lisa. One last thing in the lips. I don't remember if this came out this year. I thought it came out this year, but I did discover it this year. So this is the Edam. This is the lip softening balm. I use this all the time. This is fantastic. This is a great product. I have this in the color that always sells out. This is Boba Bounce, but pick up the other colors. It's a lip balm, so it's not super pigmented, but this feels so good on your lips. And if you have dry lips like mine, you have to try it. I promise you, you'll love it. Everything I've talked about up to now, I tried to pick one, maybe two things. And then I got to eyes. And guys, I couldn't do it. I couldn't pick just one or two. I picked a favorite. And I will talk about that one last. And I have that one on my face. But I couldn't just have one. Because there were some really great eyeshadows that came out this year, and so I just couldn't leave them out. So I'm going to go through those really quickly, and then we'll spend a little bit more time on the one that I think is the best of the best. First is the Clé de Peau Single Shadows, which are not here in the United States still. They've been abroad, and I have the shade Sun-Kissed Coral on my lids. You'll see me putting it on. It is the first shade I put on, and the thing about these is that they have this combination between the primer color that comes in all the Clé de Peau quads and then a powder formula. So there's pigment, more pigment than there is in the primer shades that are in the quads, but not so much that it's like harsh looking, but it blends beautifully and you can use it as a primer shade, which is what I did today, or you can use it as a one and done, and I promise you it will not move the whole day. it will look as good as it did when you put it on. And it's just a perfect formula for somebody who has more mature eyes, somebody who has like a heavy lid, so your color transfers. This is the one to pick up. I don't know why it's not in the United States, but I'm hoping that it comes out soon because it's a phenomenally good product. And anyone who has difficulty with their eyeshadows is going to love it. Like, if you have eyeshadows that transfer, crease, just don't, you know, they make your eyelids look bumpy or lumpy or anything like that, the Clé de Pose are the way to go. I would say that for the quads as well, but the single shadows were the sort of outstanding release where I was just like, wow, these are amazing. And I don't know why they're not in the US yet, but I'm trying to find that out. Okay, so eyeshadows. These are the ones that I would say just really stood out to me. I had a really tough time whittling this down, but this is the best I could do because I couldn't not talk about these, at least talk about them. Okay. The first is the Tom Ford Black Diamond. I know this looks very similar to the one last year. I'm not going to negate that. It's very true. It does look very similar to the one last year, but I think it's a beautiful, beautiful quad. And I think it looks stunning on, and I've worn it several times, and it's actually one of my favorite looks that I do. So I would be lying if I said it wasn't. The formula is excellent. It has that sort of wet, glossy look. It's a neutral, so it's going to look good on everybody. The formula is excellent, and let's face it, Tom Ford doesn't always do that. Next is the Hermes. This is the Minerals. This is what came out for the holiday for Hermes. This is stunning. Absolutely, like, my favorite shades, all in one compact. They have different formulas in there, so you can use one as a liner, one as more of the shimmer shade, one as an inner corner. Hermes is, like Prada, done an amazing job with their makeup releases. Some have been a little bit of a miss, but the eyeshadows I absolutely love. I think they're extremely good. They're incredibly expensive for what they are, no doubt. But I do think there's a mix of formulas in the shadows that make it a little bit more worth that price point. And I also think they last a very long time because you don't need a lot. They're very pigmented. Talking about Prada, the Prada Holiday, which not everyone was able to get their hands on, is stunning. It's very metallic. All these three shades are metallics, where this is a soft matte. Usually Prada has the 4 different formulas like Hermes does. This one that they came out with for holiday, 3 metallics and a matte. So it's a very shiny, shimmery, metallic look, but I love it. I happen to just love the way it looks. And the metallics are they're so like tinfoily kind of shimmery that they look so good on the eye. Like, better than most metallics look on a mature eye, by the way. So Prada did just an amazing job with that. I hope they do more with like more metallics because I really like it. Chanel had a couple of releases this year that I really liked, but again, whittled it down. I hate doing that, but if you're talking best to best, you gotta do it. This is the Rivage palette, and the reason I liked this so much is this was the first one that came out that really had that baby blue. Other brands followed, but it is just a fun palette. Like, I know not everybody's into the baby blues, but it's a little bit different for Chanel. It has that really gorgeous brown blue combination, which I think looks great. I love playing around with it. The white in there is really like a topper shade almost. And I don't know, that one has just appealed to me since the second it came out, and I absolutely love it. And I think it's different from Chanel. And it's actually a little different than even all the other companies, all the other brands that came out with blues for the rest of the year. That baby blue, I think, is one of the best. Then comes the Dior Plan de Paris collection. Now, specifically, it's because of the packaging, I will say. The formulas in here, though, are better than all the other formulas that Dior has come out with, all the other quads, in my opinion, that they've come out with for the year. The Plan de Paris ones were the best. I don't know if they put more money into the Plan de Paris. I'm not sure what happened, but this one I think is a really good one. This one is the Montagne. It's like the silver and gold. Again, I would have liked this more for holiday than the holiday, but I think this is a beautiful quint. It is limited in what you can do depending on, it's not, you're not going to be able to get tans out of this, but if you take the peach and just like add one shade, you can take out the deep or you put the dark one in, like depending on what you want to do, you can actually do quite a bit with it. The blue one was also stunning, but I know the blue is not for everyone because there's a lot of deep blues in that one, which is different than, you know, the blue that's in the Rivage, because you don't have to use it. There's other shades in there that you can absolutely use all the time. So those are the 5 that I got it down to 5. I couldn't get it down any more than that. But the number 1 eyeshadow, the number 1, really, did anyone think it was not going to be this? This is the Byredo Mineralscapes. And here's the thing about these palettes from Byredo, and I have close-ups so you can see them. I don't understand why Byredo does this to us. They come out with these formulas in these large palettes that they don't put in their other clam oyster palettes, whatever, oyster palettes. And the formulas in here are so good and so amazing. And this palette is like phenomenal. And I have all the big palettes, one from every year, Remembrance, and then what was the other one? I can't remember the name. Anyway, I have them all and they are phenomenally good. And you can see me putting this look on my eye. This is made up of, well, the Clé de Peau base, but then 1, 2, 3, 4 shades. And it's just stunning. Like, it's beautiful. It just looks beautiful on everybody. And the shades that are in this palette, like the blues and the steels and the tans and it's just so well done. So Byredo, why do you create these miraculous palettes that only come out once a year and then are gone, like gone. Not even gone like the Prada was gone, because the Prada came back in little drips and drabs, so you could probably get it. The Mineralscapes and the Remembrance palette was last year's. When it was gone, it was gone. Like, they made like 100 of them and then that was just it. I mean, I don't understand because they're so amazing. The formulas in that palette, in those big palettes from Byredo, are some of the best I've ever used. But their oyster ones are hit or miss, so I don't get it. If you have a chance to pick up the Byredo oversized palette when it comes out next year, I mean, I'm gonna buy it. Even though I, of course, I haven't seen it, I don't know what colors it's gonna be, but I will buy it because all of them have been phenomenal. And I think for the last 3 years, they've been on my best list because Byredo knocks it out of the park with those. Not so much with their other palettes, their other small ones. So I don't know what's going on there, but the Byredo wins by, you know, a landslide. Last but not least, mascara. The only one I have is the Exaggerize by Charlotte Tilbury. This is an excellent mascara. Love the formula, love the brush, love the fact that the glass bottle clicks into place. I could not be happier with it. It is my favorite mascara that's come out this year. It's not my favorite mascara, but favorite mascara that came out this year. I left out a lot of amazing products. I left out Suku, which had great collections, and their lip glaze lipsticks are some of my favorites. I love them. We had great products from numerous brands, and every year that I go through this, I start this process like a month ago, trying to whittle it down. And what I find more and more is that I have become more discerning in the things that I buy in the first place. So the best of best list becomes harder and harder for me to do because I'm only buying things in general that I think are going to be great to begin with. And so it's really hard for me. And this year was probably the hardest. I have to say, like, I had a lot of products that I did not put on this list that I think are excellent. And I have talked about them. At the end of every quarter, I do a best and worst of collection. So best of spring, a best of fall, best of winter. I will have the best of winter, best of holiday coming out in January, like I said. But there are a lot of great products out there. I think a lot of brands have like stepped up the game in some ways. I think some brands have done amazing jobs on packaging that didn't necessarily have my favorite shades on the inside. So that's a reference to Guerlain. I think Guerlain did an amazing job with their packaging with Pucci and then Charouk. I loved those collections. And if they could just fix the shades on the insides of the eyeshadow palettes, and if they could just fix the issue with the lipstick packaging, and if they could just go back to the Meteorite scent, they would be part of this list, but I didn't feel right putting them as part of this list when there were, you know, things about their collections that I didn't love. So they're not here. And there's other brands that are usually on this list that aren't here this year because I don't think they reached that level. So I'll be very interested to see what next year's list looks like. And like I said, I will have a video talking about whether 2023's favorites are still favorites. And if I've missed something, if I've glaringly overlooked something, I know you guys will let me know. So have a wonderful Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah. So thanks so much for joining me today, guys. I really do appreciate it. Hope to see you again in another video really soon.